Hello and welcome to the very first Conversations with Women of Valor. I am so excited today because this is a woman that I knew by reputation before I knew her personally and never heard anything but good from her. And I listened to her story a little bit, and I am so excited for you to get to listen to it as well. So welcome, Bre Lucas-Roberts.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's so great to have you here. And I would love it if you would just start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, just a little bit about yourself.
So we are currently living in South Carolina. My husband and my almost 10-month-old daughter. We're originally from Washington State, from a little town called Walla Walla. And Connor and I have been married almost 3 years now. We've known each other since I was 14 and cycled back around. We both have traveled a lot, lived overseas quite a bit, and God has landed us here. And so I work for Samaritan's Purse part-time, as well as serving a little bit in the community and raising our daughter right now.
Yeah, well, I'm going to just ask you because I just love the rest of the world. I have a little bit of an international background as well, and I was very fascinated with your Swedish background. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Yes, so my mom is Swedish, and so through my mom, so she has her Swedish citizenship. So when we were younger, she applied for ours and got ours, and actually applied for my daughter's, got her citizenship. So we are dual citizens, and we've gotten to go back when my grandfather was still living and visit. I have an aunt there and 2 cousins, and definitely sometimes feel like I'm more Scandinavian than I am American, just in the way I want to raise my daughter, or the foods I'm drawn to, or how I decorate. So that definitely, even though I wasn't born there, it still has slowed down the line.
Yeah, I'm sure that had a big impact on it being very comfortable for you to go to other countries, that you already saw yourself as a West Coast girl, but also with that Swedish connection. What other countries have you ministered in or countries that have made a big impact on you?
The Middle East has probably made the biggest impact. I spent most of my time in Israel, and while in Israel, a good chunk of that was in the West Bank or Palestine. And being around the people group that I was around the most would have been the Arab people group, or Muslims, religious. So I would say for me, I was 21 when I first went there. That was where I had some pretty substantial life-changing experiences and was very much drawn to that part of the world. So from 21 on, that has kind of been a culture that I've embraced, that has had probably the biggest impact on me as far as ministry, wanting to, even currently, I want to be around, there's different refugees we have here where I'm living, and wanting to go and spend time maybe teaching English or with families and kids. And so definitely drawn to that particular culture group part of the world.
So tell us a little bit about how you began your relationship with Jesus, and then just move into how, he kind of gives each of us a different passion, and a little bit about what your passion for service is.
Yeah. So I was raised by a single mama, and she took us to church. It was a very religious church. And so unfortunately we saw my siblings and I, there's 4 of us, saw some mistreatment of my mom. And so I'll speak for myself and say that I think I was turned off by the church. And when I say church, I mean a group of people. And so we were raised in the church, but we all ended up walking away from God. and myself included. I was in college when I did, and I always knew about him. My mom did a good job of incorporating into like our lifestyle, stories and different songs. And so we had that history. So it's always there, but I didn't believe. I was like, I don't know if there's really this Jesus guy. But I always prayed, which was funny. Even though I didn't believe, I prayed to him. So it was funny looking back on that. But when I was 21, it would be when I think I became more wholehearted and I made Jesus my own. I was actually living in Jerusalem on top of the Mount of Olives in this little house with, I don't know, 10 other nations, different friends that were there, but all from different countries. And day 2, I was there. I say that he was kind of like this quarterback football player. And I'm like walking just down this little path, looking around, and out of nowhere comes Jesus with all his gear on, and he just like tackles me. And with like love, really. And I fell in love. That's the only way I can explain it, not to sound cliche or sappy, but I think when someone falls in love, they're just hyper focused on that person. And that I became hyper focused on him as a 21-year-old, and he was all I wanted. So much so that I lost friendships. Because he was all I wanted to talk about. And I'm like, let's go pray. Who wants to go worship? Let's go up on the mountain. And it's maybe a little overzealous, but he got me good. In that there was nothing else that I wanted or nowhere else to go. So that changed my life, and it grew and matured, and is still growing and maturing. So as far as like passion, to me, I think there's some things that he's downloaded, or it's like seeds that have been placed in us, but we don't know until he starts to nurture them, but they've always been there. So like a love for the Middle East. I didn't know I had a love for the Middle East until I got to the Middle East, and something just awoke. And I remember thinking, this is the culture that I want to be with. So I think he's planted seeds. Some things I see the sprouts of them, but like, let's say it's an oak tree kind of dream with the Lord. It might manifest down the road. I see the beginnings of it, and I'm slowly nurturing that. And then there's some that I've gotten to do with him that did it, kind of closed door. He's closed it. That's done. But if I was to say an overall passion with him, there's several. But one is, I love when people are alive. And so I feel like I'm alive with him, but I have hard moments, but there's still this desire to keep reaching and to be with him and to find out what he's doing. What do you want? And I want that for others. And so that, for me, I think that's the underlying passion that then drives what comes about.
Are you saying directionally, people group, you are really drawn to the Middle Eastern needs and cultures, but for everybody, for the whole, anybody you are with and meet, your passion is for them to experience life as you are experiencing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That is really awesome. Do you have, where would you say you are? I mean, in living out this passion that you're becoming aware of, where are you? Have you taken your first steps yet? Or are you saying, what will my first steps be? I happen to know, I just happen to know that you have taken first steps as far as just giving life to anyone that you're around and giving people, you ignite passion in people. I don't know if you realize that. or if that's on purpose, but you stimulate and ignite passion in people. And I know because I've seen some of the people that have been ignited. But where are you in the process, and kind of like, how did you or how do you plan to go like into, maybe this is not even a good question, because maybe you are just there and it's just coming out of your relationship. But a lot of times, one of the things I want this to do is to help other people get their, define what their passion is and have the bravery to take first steps. So could you just talk about first steps a bit?
Sure. I think that's a great question. I think just do it. Like, and sometimes it doesn't work out, but I can give an example of, I'll give two examples. One of where I didn't know it would be a passion and it kind of came to me and I just did it and it worked. And then one where I knew it was a passion and I jumped in. And I don't know if it will work, but haven't seen the end of that yet. But when I was early 20s, I began to manage a vacation rental for my family. And then a friend asked if I would do theirs. So I'm doing this on the side of my job, my regular job, managing these vacation rentals on the side, which eventually turned into a very successful business that I ended up selling. That wasn't something I had a passion to do. I didn't know I don't have a business degree, but as I began to procure more homes, I realized I think this needs to be what I'm just doing. It's paying the rent, it's paying the bills. And then it became this beautiful model because it was all done in prayer and submission, because I didn't know what I was doing almost all of the time, down to payroll, to taxes. And I had 5 employees and just this, I really didn't know what I was doing. And so, but I began to love what I was doing. And so to me, it was very exciting, the entrepreneurial side, the creative side of that. And I watched God take something because it was 100% his. And so I was willing to, at the beginning stage, see like, there's something on this. I never ever thought I would start a business or that this was in me, but I will follow a little bit and see what happens and continue to give it to the Lord, and the Lord built it. And I got to see something really cool and learn so much from that. So that would be one way, is just you sense his hand on something, or you sense, how I see it is like, I see favor on something. Okay, I'll pay attention. Oh, it's still going forward. Let's pay attention, continue to pay attention to that. But not with my hands on it. It was with his hands, because I didn't know anything about it, but I watched God do that. So I would say that would be one example, is pay attention. Where do you see his favor resting on something that maybe you can absolutely see his favor because you know it's not you. The second would be, a personal passion I have is to write a book. It's very intimidating. It's vulnerable. I'm a private person. I'm an introvert. So for that type of personality, it's like, whoo. But I haven't been able to shake that. I've always wanted to write. And looking back, my mom has saved stories I've written from the time I was a little girl. So I decided 6 months ago, and with the encouragement of my husband, well, the 3-month-old, to just start to write, even if it didn't go anywhere, but just start writing. Just write things down and type them out and share some, don't share almost all of them. So with that, I would say there's also that piece where I don't always feel motivation. I don't know if I see God's hand on it, in the sense of, as I did with the business, where I was like, he is so on this because I'm so not on this. Where this, I love to write, and I think I do okay. It's not just sounds like a computer. It's can be kind of interesting, some of the things I write, but this is taking a lot more effort and is intimidating, but I'm pushing against that. So those would be the 2 ways I would say, like, jump in, just do it. And then over here on this end, same thing, I guess, jump in and do it, follow the favor, but they're kind of different, if that makes sense.
Wow. Okay. So what is, I love it because you have done successful things, but you're still in process, but they're all within the same scope of seeing people alive, right? That's very exciting to me. Let's say you were like 85 years old and you were looking back on your life. What would you have hoped? Not what you would have to necessarily have done, but what would you have hoped to accomplish that you would look back on and you would say, I really feel like I've fulfilled who God created me to be? That's a hard question, I know. Think about that in a minute. This is a good time if we had a commercial. I could have a commercial.
Right.
What do you think?
I think something I think a lot about is legacy. Now that I have a daughter, and so when you asked that, I jumped right to what legacy, what do I want her and any other children that God allows us to have, or anyone that I've been in the presence of, what do I want to leave them with? What do I want? So for my daughter, I want her to have gone further than me. And so what legacy, for example, right now I'm embroidering, finishing a tablecloth that my great-grandmother in Sweden started. And I thought, she didn't know that when she set this aside and didn't finish the rest of this tablecloth, that someday her great-granddaughter in America would be finishing this. And I thought for myself, what am I doing that someday someone I will not meet, I will not probably meet my great-granddaughter, maybe I will. Where will she be because of the choices I made? What will she be finishing that I didn't finish? Or what will she be starting because I finished? What will she get to jump off of my platform? So I think I would want to say, I want my daughter to be free. Am I modeling freedom? And that's a really big word, but am I modeling what it looks like to be a woman that is living the life that she feels called by the Lord to live, whether that means I stay home 100% of the time and I raise my daughter, if that's what he has called me to do, or I'm a working mom, I work outside of the home 100% of the time, or we go and we live in this country because that's where we're supposed to go, but freedom meaning free to move as the Lord is asking me and us as a family to move. I would want to look back and know that I showed her what a full woman looks like, following God. That would be the legacy I would want to leave behind. And all the other stuff is fluff, meaning how we do that is the fluff to that. It's the soil, I guess, around the root, but the root being, did I model well what it looks like for a woman to be a woman of God? And a woman of God, that's like a whole other topic, but fully me, so that she can be fully her. And I think that then I want that for others as well. I want to be fully Bre, so that you are free to be fully Linda. So as an 85-year-old woman, did I do that well? Did I wear the clothes because I didn't care? Did I wear the colorful clothes? Did I go and climb a tree with her? Did I live well so that she has been free to live well, and others that I'm with are free to live well? So I hope that kind of answers it. It's not.
Oh, listen, you gave me absolutely what my friend calls Jesus bumps. As I was listening and I was thinking, there's nothing more important than the legacy that someone leaves. And most people don't think about their legacy until it's too late to build it. That's just the way it is. You don't start thinking those thoughts. I'm so thrilled that you brought that up, Bre, and that you're thinking that way now. And you have such a handle on what it means to live abundantly, to live out. Okay, so this isn't about me, but I just want to say this about me. My goal was to live and die in my hometown because I just felt comfortable there. And my world was very small. And I married a man who never saw a road that he didn't want to go down if he hadn't been down it before. And then Jesus just totally invaded our lives. And we ended up just having a life that I could not even have dreamed of. But what I didn't know was what was in there. I didn't know what was in there. I mean, God just pulled it out of me. I didn't know it was in there. And I hear you being aware that you're saying that's what I want God to do. I want to be fully me. You know, I want to be fully me. And I love, love, love that. I just think that that is the crucial point of everything we've said today. God created us all to be a particular thing. He gave us the DNA to have the ability to do it. He gives us the spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
He puts us in circumstances, you know, he's just done that for us. It is so amazing. And I'm very, very, very excited. And my next question was going to be, can you give people advice who are like trying to determine what God's will is, and what they're called to and who they are, and to actually live like you're describing? I think you may have already answered it, but is there anything that you could add? Like if somebody's listening to this and saying, yes, yes, I want to be free. I want to be me. I want to be all that God created me to be. I want to do it all. I want to look back on my life and say, I wasn't perfect, but I followed what I was created to be. Do you have any advice, any one or two things that you would say to those people who might be having that desire right now?
I'd say be the best you, the best version of yourself that you can be. My friend used to say, you be you and I'll be me. And I don't want to be Linda, and I don't want Linda to be Bre, and I don't want to be Susie and Susie to be, because we're all image bearers. And if you're me, then how do I see Jesus in you? You know, we're all bearing his image in some way. And so I would say, you be you and I'll be me. And in being myself, that means the practical walking that out day to day for me looks like not looking at my friend who's doing this and thinking I should be doing this. And I think social media has been a tool for that. And so looking to Christ, and this is how I have to kind of fight for this, and learning to love how he's made me, you know, with all my quirks, with the places that are still growing, and we'll always have places that are growing, and going, okay, I made a mistake. I'm going to step back into my perfect self, Lord, in you. This was not me right there. I shouldn't have done that, or apologize, whatever I need to do to fix that, but come back and not beat myself up about it. And I think just also including in those beautiful things, like something I love to do is surround myself with beauty. And so my house is not, it does not go together how a house should go together. It has like stuff from our travels and pictures of things that I remember in those moments being really joyful moments, or a candlestick I got in Israel that doesn't match the candlestick next to it because that one's from the Czech Republic, but they're beautiful to me. And so I think to be the best you, to be free, is to do things for yourself. I guess how I look at it is, I'm my best self when I'm alive and I'm surrounded by beautiful things, when I'm surrounded by people that are for me. And I intentionally set that around myself. As you do ministry, you need to also find the balance of putting people around you that will pour back into you. So I've been, I think, intentionality, that's a roundabout answer to get to saying I've been very intentional with what I've put around me, who I've put around me, where I spend my time, how much time I put into this not life-giving situation, which to me sometimes is social media. What I read, what I watch, what I listen to. So I've been very intentional with that. And I think with that, it's helped me to bring out in me some of my best, because and my creative sides and different things that help me to go, okay, Bre, I see this in you. Let's continue to grow and cultivate that. Yeah.
Bre, that's wonderful. And as you were talking, I was saying how wonderful it would be for Bre to be your best friend. And I think all of us have been blessed by just getting a little tiny picture into your heart. And thank you so much for being with us today. And I would love it if you would just sort of close our time with praying a blessing on every person that sees this.
I'd love to. Lord, we just give you glory. You are radiant and you are beautiful and you are holy. You are righteous. You are the King of Kings. We bend our knee to you. We throw our crowns on the ground. We worship you. We say, come and have your way in our lives. Lord, we love you. We worship you, Jesus. We worship you. We worship you, Jesus. You're the Lord of Lords. You're a holy God. You are a holy God. Lord, it's my prayer that whoever is getting to listen to this, or that you would invade that space right now with your presence, God, that you would invade that space with hope. With your presence comes all that is good and lovely and perfect. And God, that you would release whatever needs to be released over whomever is listening to this. Lord, if they need joy, peace, God, you know the desires of their heart, refreshing, rejuvenating vision. God, that you would meet them where they're at, that you would encounter them right now. And Lord, remind us all throughout the day that you are near, that you're our dearest friend. We're never alone. God, we thank you. Thank you for the privilege of tapping our shoulders, that we get to walk with you, that you remind us that you are near, that you love us and we love you. Help us to love you more, to love others more, and to love the women that you're making us into every day. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Bre.
Thank you,
you
Linda.
so much. I appreciate it. And for all who are listening, we're going to be having some more of these, so tune in. Thank you, Bre. I'm so excited. You were our very first conversation. Talk to you soon.
Okay.